For years, Hollywood sold us a charming story, the bromance between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Two beloved stars, always laughing at each other's jokes, playfully trolling each other online, and seemingly sharing an unbreakable bond. But what no one imagined was that behind the cameras, this friendship was nothing more than a facade, one carefully crafted to hide what Hugh Jackman is now ready to reveal. A relationship marked by power abuse, control, and behavior that many say crosses the line into workplace harassment. After years of silence, Hugh Jackman is no longer willing to protect Ryan Reynolds. And with a possible legal testimony on the horizon, everything might finally come to light. What exactly did Ryan Reynolds do to Hugh? And why could this revelation mark the ultimate collapse of Reynolds' public image? Get ready, because what you're about to hear might make you see Ryan Reynolds in a completely different light. In every interview, Ryan Reynolds comes across as the likable, funny, laid-back guy. But behind that polished image, insiders claim there's a personality that's controlling, insecure, and even cruel. It all began with an incident involving a makeup artist during a reshoot. She couldn't attend due to commitments to another project. Ryan's alleged response: "If you don't show up, you'll never work in Hollywood again." According to insiders at Fox, the executives were frustrated but powerless. Ryan had already seized total control over the production. What many once saw as leadership began to show its true face, an obsessive need for absolute control. And it wasn't just crew members who felt it. Co-stars and even directors became targets. For years, Hugh Jackman played the role of the comic friend, the one who took Ryan's jokes in stride and fueled the myth of their bromance. But behind the scenes, Hugh lived a very different reality. While filming Deadpool and Wolverine, Jackman saw firsthand how much control Ryan had over everything, from creative decisions to how the crew was treated. When Hugh was pressured into doing scenes filled with sarcastic and indirect jabs, especially aimed at people unrelated to the project, he began feeling increasingly uncomfortable. A clear example was when Hugh was forced into participating in a sketch mocking director Justin Baldoni, who was entangled in a legal dispute with Blake Lively, Ryan's wife. Hugh had nothing to do with that situation, yet he was used as a pawn in a personal vendetta. That became the breaking point. Hugh realized he could no longer support Ryan's decisions. Staying silent meant becoming complicit. Ryan Reynolds hasn't just clashed with Jackman. His track record is filled with broken relationships with former co-stars. Actress Morena Baccarin was almost erased from the Deadpool 2 marketing campaign because Ryan reportedly found her too demanding. TJ Miller, who played Weasel, publicly stated that Ryan humiliated him in front of the crew, constantly reminding him that he was just a disposable comic relief and not the star. And then there's the most telling case: Jake Gyllenhaal. Once close friends after filming Life in 2017, Jake now avoids even mentioning Ryan's name. Rebecca Ferguson, who starred in the same movie, also gave interviews describing a certain actor, without naming him, as insecure and toxic, someone who ruined the filming experience. All signs point to Reynolds. A pattern emerges. Anyone who challenges his authority, fails to laugh at his jokes, or outshines him becomes a target, mocked, sidelined, or ignored. What's escalated this into a full-blown crisis is the news that Hugh Jackman may be called to testify in the legal case involving Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. This isn't a rumor. It's a legal possibility. And if it happens, Hugh will have to speak under oath about Ryan's behavior on set. This puts Jackman at a crossroads: protect Ryan or tell the truth and shatter his public image for good. Sources close to Hugh say he's not just angry about the past. He's furious that Ryan dragged him into his personal battles, using him as a puppet in conflicts that weren't his to fight. Now, with more testimonies surfacing from ex-partners and colleagues describing Ryan's passive-aggressive personality and deep insecurities, Reynolds faces what could be the most significant downfall of his career, a flawless image that turns out, may have been just that, an image. What few realize is that Deadpool and Wolverine wasn't just a film eagerly awaited by fans, it was also Ryan Reynolds' opportunity to settle personal scores. And during the scriptwriting phase, sources say Reynolds, who had creative control, made sure of it. Creativo Totals began incorporating scenes that, according to internal sources, bordered on uncomfortable for Jackman. Indirect mockery of his career, sarcastic references to his divorce, and lines that seemed designed more to expose him than entertain. Hugh Jackman, known for his professionalism, remained silent. But it didn't take long for him to realize that his presence in the film was being used as an extension of Ryan Reynolds' media game. And this wasn't the first time. In past promotions, Ryan had used his humor to ridicule co-stars, brushing it off as just a joke. But this time, the line had been crossed. Jackman came to understand that his image was being used as a shield to deflect attention from the scandals surrounding Ryan and Blake. And that was something he was no longer willing to tolerate. For years, Hugh Jackman had kept his personal life private. But after his separation from Deborah Lee Furness, testimonies from people close to him began to surface, revealing the negative impact Reynolds had on his inner circle. According to a former assistant of Jackman, Ryan had become a constant and invasive presence, pressuring him for more meetings, trying to influence Hugh's personal creative decisions, and even offering opinions on family matters uninvited. What once seemed like a friendship gradually turned into a form of subtle, exhausting control, and whenever Jackman tried to distance himself, Reynolds turned to the public, posting pictures, making public jokes, keeping Hugh tied to a narrative he no longer wanted to be part of. Close sources say Hugh felt trapped, forced to maintain a relationship that only benefited one person, while he was reduced to playing the dumb friend so Reynolds could shine. It was an unbalanced dynamic disguised as comedy, one that ultimately drained Jackman emotionally. The scandal hasn't only impacted the relationship between Reynolds and Jackman, it's caused fractures within Hollywood's inner circle. Actors who once praised Ryan's humor now remain silent. Directors once eager to work with him are taking a step back. There are even rumors of tension with Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, who is reportedly concerned about how this conflict could affect the release of Deadpool and Wolverine. Because when personal scandals start contaminating a multi-million-dollar product, decisions stop being emotional. They become strategic. The Ryan Reynolds brand, once built on charm and likability, is losing its value. And in Hollywood, when you stop being profitable, you stop being protected. Now, Ryan Reynolds stands at a crossroads. He can continue denying everything, hiding behind jokes and avoiding the issue. Or, for the first time, he can take responsibility, because Jackman isn't acting out of revenge. He's speaking out for dignity. And with a possible legal testimony on the horizon, his words could become the first domino to fall, collapsing Reynolds' carefully crafted media narrative. Ryan still has a chance at redemption. But to seize it, he'll need to do something he's never done publicly. Acknowledge that behind the humor, there may be a history of emotional harm, control, and manipulation. And the world is watching. For years, Ryan Reynolds was Hollywood's king of charisma, the perfect man, the charming prankster, the ideal husband. But what Hugh Jackman has just revealed calls all of that into question. This is no longer about harmless jokes or misunderstandings between colleagues. What's emerging is the portrait of a man who, beneath a facade of charm, may have hidden patterns of power, manipulation, and emotional control. And what's most devastating is that it didn't just affect people behind the scenes. It affected his own friends. Jackman was his ally, his partner, his public shield. And when Hugh chose to walk away, Ryan turned him into yet another tool in his media narrative. Now, that narrative is crumbling, and for the first time, the public is beginning to look past the charming smile and viral jokes. In an industry where appearances are everything, the truth always finds its way to the surface. And when it does, not even the best actor in the world can stay in character. Now it's your turn. Do you think Ryan Reynolds deserves a second chance? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end for one of Hollywood's most admired figures? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to keep uncovering the truth behind the world's most famous faces, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications.